Elie Smith, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, you're here today to talk to us about, especially the talking point, because on Tough Talk, you're preparing a tough topic.
Exactly.
About Wirba, who is back.
Yeah, the comeback child.
The outspoken SDF parliamentarian for Jakiri.
Exactly.
Now, Elie, how did you get the info that Wirba was in Cameroon?
I was thrilled that he's back in Cameroon, because there was, I think 2 months ago, we had a debate here on Tough Talk, and I had a friend whose name is Michael Ndimancho, who said Wirba was a coward because he ran away. But I told him that no, he's not a coward, because we are living in a country whereby the government is not insensitive. And I think the thing that he had to is a kind of tactical retreat, that he was to come back. So I felt at the long last vindicated to see him come back. I was really happy to see such a person come. And I'm happy that this debate on the nature and the foundation of this country should not be debated on the streets, but should be taken into the hearts of power, and that is at the parliament, to be spoken about, to see about the future of the country. So that was why I was very happy that Wirba came back to the country.
But yesterday he was not invited to the rostrum. He took to it.
He was
took the microphone and then started voicing his opinion and saying that we cannot stay here. People are suffering, people are dying, and then you're talking nonsense. And that I'm happy the Minister of Territorial Administration is here. Your guys are molesting people in the streets, in the neighborhoods. How did you find that?
I found that very good. It was a good thing, because, you know, to be sincere, at times I feel so bad about our journalists sometimes, especially our so-called intellectuals and the leaders of this country, because they want to make people think that, well, it's business as usual, there's nothing, and that the country is safe, that there's no problem. But when he brings up the topic, especially when the Minister of Territorial Administration, Sadi, is there, he cannot refuse that he was not aware, or he's not aware of the atrocious attitudes of his men and women on the ground in West Cameroon. So it's a very good thing that, it's a good thing even for the democracy of Cameroon to be sincere. I think it's not a matter of thinking. Wirba, contrary to what many people might be thinking, he's really a patriot, because I think it is time for us to sit honestly and look at the facts straight and decide about the future of this country. And he's the MP for, he's a member of parliament for Jakiri. He represents Jakiri and represents the nation. So I think MPs need to borrow a leaf from Wirba and always come and table the reality of the ground in parliament. He should look, he is the kind of antithesis to this man called Emeka Ekema of Boya, who just goes around stoking grievances, steering division around. So I think Mr. Wirba should be feted as a hero. He's good for Cameroon.
What do you think in the government in place and the Speaker of the National Assembly? Some of them feel very uncomfortable when they listen to people who are outspoken, who are there to represent the people. And the very nature of parliament is a Greek word, par, like talk. So if you are in the parliament and you can't talk, can we still call that a parliament?
We can't call it a parliament. Now, to the discharge of people like Kavayege Jibril and other MPs who are not of the SDF and UDC or the opposition, most MPs of the ruling CPDM party do not have the legitimacy. The thing is that they never won their respective wards. They deserve where they are because of the rigging or the fraudulent nature of the electoral process in Cameroon. Hence, some of them cannot voice their mind. But I think it has to change, even for the credibility of the CPDM. A man like Kavayege Jibril, he has been in parliament for I think 25 years or more. And if he cannot bring up the grievances of the people of his constituency that he represents, but wants to preserve the image of Paul Biya and his clique, then he's doing that not just for the detriment of Paul Biya, but his own personal detriment and the detriment of where he comes from. I think MPs need to learn that they have to speak or voice.
And that they're the people's representative.
They are the people's representative, voice the grievances of the people.
Now he is back in Cameroon. We'll learn of what happened. He sent a lengthy release when he left Cameroon to explain what happened, how they wanted to arrest him. He left from Nigeria. And I received Joshua Osi here, who is the vice chair of the Social Democratic Front, who said it is not only Wirba. The SDF gave him the information that he should leave the country as fast as possible. That internal services security of the SDF got the news that they wanted to humiliate and arrest him, and he preferred him leaving Cameroon rather than staying here and rot in jail for them to fix the whole thing. Now he is back in Cameroon. Do you think the SDF struck a deal with the government? Because we learned that the chairman of the Social Democratic Front went to Europe, went to the US to meet Wirba, and then when he came back, Wirba
came back.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of tricky that the SDF struck a deal with the government in order to permit an MP elected for the, by the people to come back to the country. I don't believe that.
Okay.
I don't believe it. I think that the government itself is not very stupid as we think, as I always think. I think they know that their credibility is at stake. I think they were also surprised at the unity of the MPs of the SDF, because I think the SDF MPs and their chairman put something on the table. If that amounts to a kind of negotiation, then you take it as you want. That is, the threat was, if they cannot allow a man like Wirba, elected by the people, to come and represent the people in parliament, then it is worthless for the SDF to be in parliament. And
then the message is clear.
The message is abundantly clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
We don't need you here.
We don't need you here. Which means that, can you imagine what is going to happen if the SDF decides to withdraw from parliament? Which means that we already know that the country is unraveling. This is going to be another full proof that it is not working. We are no longer at ease. Then we have to part ways. And now this government who lives by slogan, PR, will have really destroyed themselves. Anyway, they are not very good at PR already.
The public relations is, you think it's bad?
It's awful. It's, you know, it's normal when you have people who are 80 or 100 years old governing. They are living in the 20th or 17th century, while we're in the 21st century. They seem not to understand how things works out. So if the SDF MP came back, simply because the government understood that the SDF is united, will not take it lightly for one of theirs.
Standing as one man.
Yes.
Now, after the pronouncement in the National Assembly, Rene Amawesadi said he doesn't think an MP have to speak like that. That Wirba is an MP and should not speak like that. And Wirba, who told them that he's here for Kondengi or prepared to die.
That's very good. I like his boldness. Now, Mr. Rene said, I don't know where he comes from. Why does he think an MP should not speak that way? The man Wirba is representing the people of Jakiri. Every day when he goes there, he hears what the people of his constituencies voices to him. Now he has to come and channel. He is just a kind of vehicle transporting the grievances of the people of Jakiri and the greater Anglophone Cameroon. For him to say what he's saying is, for Mr. Rene Sadi, it's absolute nonsense. But there's one thing I want to say. Rene Sadi can borrow. You know, we cannot just come here and say everything is so awful. If you look at the way the policemen of Cameroon used to behave in the past, that is, racketeering was part of their whole deal. But when this old man called Ngele became the Inspector General of
National Security,
I think those improvised roadblocks have reduced drastically.
Elie, I beg to differ with you. When I go to the southwest, there are roadblocks there. The law is clear. We're not supposed to have roadblocks on our roads. Stones, sticks, and they're blocking the road. You go to Ekona, you see there concrete on the tarred road. You cross Muyuka, they use candles to block the road. You're entering into Kumba, the same situation.
You are absolutely correct. But we have also to have the courage and the humility to say the way the police used to act before,
they and no longer act like that.
Now, the cases of Ekuna, Kumba, and Victoria, where they are still mounting roadblocks, has to be denounced in very strong terms. It is an opportunity on an occasion to use your mobile phones, see what they are doing, and bring it online and air it here. And then I think Emmanuel Ngele, Barangangele would be able to say. But so I want to say that Barangangele has brought a kind of petty improvement within the police force, and that we have to
sacking of policemen,
exactly,
sending some on retirement.
Brilliant. That we have to acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And I think.
But he is the same Barangangele who wanted to arrest Wirba.
Yes, it's true. But I'm not here trying to set the cat out of the bag. But I think we can perhaps not like this regime. Perhaps personally, I don't just like them. But within them, there are some of them who are honest. Barangangele said something that sometimes his hands are tied. That the President of the Republic is kind of caged by a group of extremists, himself the President. So perhaps to the discharge of Barangangele, he was asked to do so. But now the thing is that sometimes you can also have the courage, like Wirba,
to say it's wrong.
It's wrong, I'm not going to do it. Because what Wirba is doing is really courageous for him to stand in front of a government that is insensitive, that has been going around beating and arresting people in a wanton manner, to do what Mr. Wirba is doing, which is very good. And I want to repeat once again, it's also good for Cameroon to have people who speak the truth, to look about the future or improve what is going on in the country.
Now, Elie, let's go directly to the talking point. Do you think the Biya regime can still go ahead with plans to arrest Wirba?
Yes, I think so. They
can still go ahead?
They can still go ahead.
What makes you think so, Elie?
Because it's a very dishonest group of people, insensitive, arrogant and ignorant. They believe only in brutal force. And they also believe...
But it's not working for months and months now, Elie.
It is not working.
As I said, I was in the Southwest the other day, met with some politician, a politician of the ruling party, who was saying that, yes, in front of the cameras, we can say things are okay. But he said clearly that the GC is a big disgrace, and that children are not going to school, that the situation is disturbing, that goes down just via SMSs, people respect it there, and so people are not happy. He was like saying that.
It is true. Yeah, I'm sorry if I may have interrupted you. What I say is, I'm saying that there's a precedent, right?
Yeah.
This government, for example, Paul Abine, was not supposed to be arrested. These people assured others that they will not arrest him because, well, he's a political figure, he's a super scale magistrate. On weekend, they arrested him. Now,
no charges as of now.
No charges as of now. The problem, if they don't arrest Wirba, is simply because they know that it will be tantamount to playing with fire. But I think in their disposition, they are heartless individuals, very ignorant, brutal. They believe in humiliating others. It's a kind of anthropological way of viewing things. You see, the thing is that we have a group of people who came from the forest, and then suddenly they became extremely rich, and also out of a stroke of luck, they now became they came to power, and they are afraid that they might lose it. But it's a mistake, because at a point in time they might be doing what they are doing. What they are doing is that they are transforming a whole lot of people into vengeful and annoyed and vengeful people, which will make people to be rising against them, which means that I think, in other words, is to make it simply, they are
if you continue with the police brutality, at what point in time people will not be afraid of that?
People will not be afraid of that.
For it.
Yes, and that's why I'm afraid, and that's the reason why I am afraid about I'm afraid of the future of this country, because if Paul Biya rigs the election in 2018 as they want to do for him to be elected, my fear is that this country might fall apart. It might disintegrate, because there are a group of people here who will not accept to be humiliated, to be ruined politically and economically, as Paul Biya and his regime has done.
Thank you so very much, Elie.